feeling energized, and I'm feeling my brain has been stretched in the ways that we hoped the creative brain week would stretch all of our brains. And the main reasons for that is the performances we've had. Performances by great artists, performances by people with dementia, the Forget-Me-Nots choir, the amazing performances by some of our Atlantic Fellows from South Africa, for instance. And this just confirming what I know theoretically, but in practice, which is when you get diverse people from diverse disciplines, but diverse cultures and diverse approach, when you get them together, what a melting pot it is for the human mind and the human brain. And we want to really spread this message globally about the incredible impact of the creative processes in all dimensions of life, in health, well-being, in equity, technology and economic development. It's going to be huge next year, even better than this year, I believe.
Absolutely. So I was in the displacement session because I'm a psychotherapist working with unaccompanied minors coming into the country, and there were other speakers there working in different places who were talking about creative approaches to their work. Some of them working very much at the front line, whereas I suppose I'm working in Ireland with people who've experienced trauma, so we were kind of making the links between trauma and creative approaches to healing, I suppose. And I mean, what happens with trauma is that, it shuts down those parts of the brain that are responsible for language, memory. So really the way to work with people who've experienced that trauma in displacement is through creative approaches, approaches that don't involve talking. So there were some amazing community approaches that were highlighted there, which were just incredible. Community groups through music, through art, through movement, all kinds of things. Really, really fascinating stuff. I think it's so important to have these conversations, because I think the brain tends to be looked at, as though, that's science, that's not our stuff. And I'm based in the arts kind of world, and I'm a psychologist as well. So I think it's so important to integrate the two, to look at that kind of intersection between the two, to look at how the brain responds to creativity. So I think certainly displacement was really, it kind of brings all that together, because we can see work that's been done, we can see things that are working. So I think it's really, really important to bring those things together.
So Baby Groove is a 70s inspired happening for babies aged 0 to 12 months. We work in a portable performance space that blocks out all the visual and oral noise, which is full of lovely immersive projections, and we sing all the way through, live harmony singing, and everything else is about the babies as individuals and them as a temporary tiny community. So this week was our rehearsal residency, and we were delighted to be doing this as part of Creative Brain Week, as whilst the show is very much about the basic human right of everybody to really high quality arts experiences, it's inspired and informed also a little bit by bits and pieces of neuroscience that I've magpied over the years, particularly from people like Dr. Suzanne Zedijk, and how we interact with the babies and how we create a situation where they genuinely have agency to choose their journey through each particular adventure. So it seemed like a really great marriage, and we've been delighted to be part of it.
As part of Creative Brain Week, we were talking about creativity within neighbourhoods and within cities, and looking at how creativity can impact on health generally, but brain health in particular. The commonality really was that housing per se is a very important predictor of health. A lot of discussions ended up about design, but also about services. So thinking about the childcare services, the schools, the retail, the environment, the parks, the play areas and so on, and how you could actually encourage the interconnection between people.
What I was talking about was the kind of intersection between health and design and the built environment at more at an urban level rather than a built level or a building level. And I started to dwell on, I suppose, the Healthy Cities Initiative, WHO, and seeing how that translated into urban design, and then really started to examine that in terms of aging and how the built environment impacts on our brain health throughout the life course. And this idea of, how we age and grow, how our places age and grow, and how we can start kind of leveraging maybe the benefits that come from that. It also gave us the chance to talk about, how you bring people and their creativity and their wisdom into the design process or into the development process. A lot of older people bring wisdom, they bring patience, they bring life experience and so on. They're a lot of components of creativity that go untapped.
The concept of emotional memory and how we as people, we just see something and then suddenly it's connect us to something different. So mostly I'm going to be talking about this emotional memory experience from Palestine to Ireland too, and how it feels to see something that I belong to that comes from home, how I see it here. The idea of someone is talking about displacement and to bring us together from an academic view and from an artistical view and just to see where these things can mesh and what people can get out of it. And I'm so glad, honestly, to be part of the Creative Brain Week. It's a great opportunity that brings artists like me. I'm established artist, I would say, but in Ireland I'm still building up things. It's really great that we get the opportunity to come to Trinity College and to be part of this.
Today is the end of Creative Brain Week for this year, but it's not the end of Creative Brain Week. I'd like to see it grow from year to year, from strength to strength. And just talking to people around in the room, people have really enjoyed the variety, the interdisciplinarity, and how creativity can touch so many people in so many different ways.
It's been a challenge making an event, an inaugural, a new event during the middle of a global pandemic, during the middle of the outbreak of conflicts in Europe and in the middle of people's lives. What I've learned over this week is about how we need to keep a clear sense of where we're trying to get to, while at the same time being responsive and adapting. So the brilliant crew here, huge thanks to them. And I'm really looking forward to the seeds that have been planted over this week, what it's going to grow over the next couple of years.